back here again tonight with another video. And tonight we're going to speak about the Gannon Stauch, 11-year-old boy who disappeared more than a month ago in Colorado Springs, Colorado. The breaking news that we spoke about today, I'm going to break it down just a bit more in detail. We're going to get to that in a few minutes. My name is DutyRon, retired New York City Police Detective. I served 20 plus years in the largest police department in the world, the New York City Police Department. And if you want all things true crime and police related from a law enforcement professional, please hit the subscribe button, hit your notification bell, follow me on all social media, one word, DutyRon, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Thank you for joining. Channel members, Daphne, Joey Brooklyn, thank you for coming in. Patty and Jack, Cinnamon Hot Hot, KDF, Sophia Howard, Meg Lowe, Denise, Katie, and crew. Thank you guys for joining. Please share onto your social media. Hit the share button and send it on out there into the social media Twitter sphere. We're going to go over the press conference today. I was unable to bring that to you live. I did listen to the audio with you guys, but there are several other things from my perspective that I've taken away from doing some research on this. And I feel that the interview, and we'll cover that in a minute, the interview that was conducted on January 31st with the stepmom, I really took a few things away from listening to that just once. I listened to that interview just once, and I took something away from that I'm going to talk to you about, guys, about quick. But again, for those of you who suffer from PTSD or maybe sensitive to these type of topics, I would ask you to just please leave the broadcast now, because we're going to go into a couple of the details that we know up until this point. And again, law enforcement has, they are taxed with an investigation that is colossal. It is not a small investigation because it goes perhaps across state lines. We have a perpetrator who fled the Colorado area and was collared in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, or somewhere outside of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. There's going to be an extradition hearing. She will more than likely waive her extradition. And when I say waive, she will more than likely not have that extradition hearing. She will just say, take me to Colorado to face the charges. I worked in the extradition team for my last 5 years on the police department. So I did these extraditions myself, along with 3 or 4 other detectives. And I know how this goes. I've gone across state lines to bring back felons, murderers, rapists, robbers, everything under the sun. We have gone out and extradited back to New York City. So I'm very, very familiar with this process. I've sat through many extradition hearings, and it's just a formality. It's a legal hearing that has to occur, or it has to be afforded to the perpetrator to bring them from one state to another. And a lot of times when we would do this, we would go with the United States Marshals, because you need U.S. Marshals when you pick somebody up and bring them across state lines. So if a New York City police officer is picking somebody up from California, you need a United States Marshal to kind of officiate, if you will, the process. So that's how that goes. Guys, I'm wearing my Blue Line flag shirt. This is representing all of our law enforcement. The thin blue line is from the Blue Line T-shirt company. I want to say thank you to them for sending out some shirts for me to wear during my videos. So thank you for that. Bridget Parker, great to see you. Pear Tree, and all of the new channel members and all of my new people coming on in tonight. Thank you. So I'm going to segue into this scene, and we're gonna just listen to this news conference. It's kind of lengthy, but if you guys want to listen to it, we'll break it down afterwards. Okay, guys? So we'll segue over to that.
As we work diligently to piece together what led to Gannon's disappearance. Our speakers today will be Sheriff Bill Elder, Lieutenant Mitch Mahalko, FBI Denver
Again, this is from
Division
about
Special
5-6
Agent in
hours
Charge,
ago.
Dean Phillips, District Attorney Dan May, and Senior Deputy District Attorney Michael Allen. We will not be taking any questions at the conclusion of the press conference. However, I will be reading a statement from Gannon's father, Al.
Yes, Millie, this is it right here.
May not speak. Please respect the family's request for privacy as they begin to absorb and process the devastating news they have received today. Sheriff Elder.
Thanks, Jackie. Welcome, everybody. Today marks 5 weeks since the investigation into the disappearance of Gannon Stout. We're holding the press conference to update you on some significant developments. While we've yet to locate Gannon, this morning, just after 8:00 a.m. East Coast time, Letitia Stout was taken into custody in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina without incident by law enforcement officers from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, the Denver and Columbia divisions of the FBI, the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina Police Department, the Horry County, South Carolina Police Department, and Sheriff's Office. Letitia will be held without bond in the J. Reuben Long Detention Center in Horry County, South Carolina, where she will remain until she's extradited back to Colorado Springs on the following charges. Charge 1, murder in the first degree of a child under 12 years of age by a person in a position of trust. Child abuse resulting in death. Tampering with a deceased human body and tampering with physical evidence. I cannot stress enough what a difficult time this has been for Gannon's family. Like Jackie said, they've provided a written statement, but they will not, and they won't be providing any interviews at this time, and I ask that you protect their privacy. This has been a rapidly developing and highly complex investigation, and it underscores the importance of teamwork in the law enforcement agents in our community. While our hope is always that tragic cases like this never happen, it is precisely why the extremely close relationships we enjoy with our local, state, and national law enforcement partners becomes the most important. The list of people from around the country that have worked many, many long hours and invested themselves so deeply in is long and impressive. I offer my sincere thanks to each and every one of you for all that you've done in the investigative efforts so far. The safety of the citizens of this community is the top priority to all of us standing before you today. We'd like to thank the thousands of members of this community for your compassion, your kindness, and your thoughtfulness, your generosity, and your support while we've taken on the tireless search efforts over the past 5 weeks. On behalf of the Sheriff's Office, all of the investigators, the staff, the volunteers involved in this investigation from all over the United States, we would like to express our deepest sympathies to Gannon's family and friends. There is no way to express the depth of our sympathy, and our hearts break for you. But I make this promise: this team will continue its work. These partners will remain steadfast and diligent until the conclusion and final prosecution of this case. We will not stop, and this investigation has only begun. Letitia's arrest photograph will be made available to the media as soon as we can following the press conference. Jackie will have the details. And now I will turn the microphone over to Lieutenant Mitch Mahalko.
Good afternoon.
This is where it gets
we will
difficult
not be going
here.
into detail about the information in the investigation which ultimately resulted in the arrest of Letitia. But I can tell you that this has been a methodical and time-consuming multi-state operation with investigators working nearly around the clock to find Gannon. There have been thousands of hours of investigation and search efforts. This includes large-scale searches in addition to small, specific searches with drones, horses, canines, and other resources. While we have not yet found Gannon, information has been developed that is helping us narrow our search. As you can see from the arrest, sadly, we do not believe Gannon is alive. Our work is only just beginning. and you will continue to see many law enforcement officials in El Paso County over the coming weeks and possibly months as we continue our relentless pursuit of justice for Gannon and his family. On behalf of the investigators and staff involved in this investigation, we would like to express our deepest sympathies to the family and the friends of Gannon. The death of a child is something no parent should ever have to endure. This case has not just been an investigation for us. This case has become very personal and will forever remain in our hearts. We will continue to work closely with the 4th Judicial District Attorney's Office, the FBI, and other partners to the conclusion of this investigation. At this time, I'd like to turn this over to FBI Denver Division Special Agent in Charge, Dean Phillips.
Thank you for being here today. On behalf of the men and women of the FBI, all the special agents, investigative
I've never
analysts,
heard an FBI
support
agent
staff,
break down like this.
and our task
This
force
guy is
officers,
emotionally
we
connected.
express our deepest condolences to the family, the friends, and the loved ones of Gannon Stauch. To the press, I also ask that you give the family space and time in order to process the information that they're dealing with now. To the community, thank you for your patience and understanding, for your assistance, and for the support you provided to the law enforcement community as we've worked through this investigation. The law enforcement community, I want to recognize in particular the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, the Colorado Springs Police Department, the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, our partners, our task force partners in Pueblo, the Pueblo PD, Pueblo County Sheriff's Office, and the Colorado State Patrol. All of these agencies have worked tirelessly and seamlessly together throughout
Hi,
this
Heidi.
investigation.
Thank you for joining.
Although this is not the outcome for which we had hoped, we continue to work this aggressively, and we will continue to work it through to the end. As far as the FBI is concerned, we've brought significant resources to bear, to include agents, special agents, investigative analysts, technical support, evidence response teams, and behavioral analysis unit support. But we are not done. We will be here with our partners to the end. We will continue to help law enforcement and the prosecutors see this to the very end. And know this, when it comes to the loss of a child, the FBI will always bring all available and logical resources to bear to help our law enforcement partners when called. We will answer the call. To the community, I want to tell you that at this point, all the evidence points to Gannon's disappearance being the result of foul play, but we have no reason to believe that there is any information or intelligence indicating a threat to other children in the community. Thank you very much.
This is not the outcome that anybody here wanted.
He's right there
We
behind
wish
this
today,
guy,
as
the
we were standing
bald
here, that we
man
had
in the
Bill
brown
Gannon with us to be able to present to our community
sweatshirt.
he's still alive.
That's the father. He's
and
leaning
doing
his
well.
head down now.
Unfortunately, that's not the situation. As you've heard, an arrest warrant was issued for first-degree murder of Gannon in this case. Unfortunately, we've had to get to know the family now as part of our prosecution family, and they'll be with us for the next many months going forward. It's an unfortunate thing that we are here today. I do want to thank all those who've been involved. The FBI has been amazing. John Cronin, who's the special agent in charge here in Colorado Springs, has spent literally his team 24/7 for weeks across this country. We could not have done this without their support. Bill Elder's team has been fabulous in terms of their work, working tirelessly again 24/7 for many weeks, hoping we would find Gannon. Unfortunately, we are not. Colorado Springs Police Department, Kevin Clark came over, and it's been amazing the work that he has done, which I understand he may even get a special recognition from the FBI in terms of what he's done on this case. My lead prosecutor on this case has been Michael Allen. He will continue to be the lead prosecutor throughout this case. And with that, I'd like to introduce him to fill you in on some of the things we expect going forward.
I want to let everybody know that the affidavit in this case supporting the
Kanga Blue,
arrest warrant remains
I'm
sealed.
with you on that.
We do understand
I'm gonna let
why
this
this
play,
case
though.
has drawn the
I'm
attention it
gonna
has from
remain
across
silent.
our community and also across our country. But we want to do everything we can to make sure we achieve justice for Gannon. So we're not going to talk about the facts of the case going forward. We want to make sure that we protect these criminal proceedings. Anytime a child goes missing, it's natural for...
All right. I'm going to stop this just for a second here. What he just said here was important for everyone to understand is the reason law enforcement is holding back talking about specifics is because they do not want to jeopardize the case. And that's important that we all understand that.
Mother of the missing 11-year-old Gannon Stauch.
To bear, to include, is any information?
Special agent in charge here in Colorado Springs has spent...
We do understand why this case has drawn the attention it has from across our community. I want to let everybody know that the affidavit in this case supporting the arrest warrant remains sealed. We do understand why this case has drawn the attention it has from across our community and also across our country. But we want to do everything we can to make sure we achieve justice for Gannon. So we're not going to talk about the facts of the case going forward. We want to make sure that we protect these criminal proceedings. Anytime a child goes missing, it's natural for people to want to help out, and we encourage people, if you have credible tips, to still report those tips to the Sheriff's Department. We are going to continue this investigation, and really it's a two-pronged investigation at this point, or process, I should say. One, we still want to bring Gannon home so that he can have a proper burial and his family can achieve the closure that they need. But we also want to hold the person that we are charging, Letitia Stauch, accountable for what she did in this case. She has been arrested on the following charges: murder in the first degree, child under 12 by a person in position of trust. That is a Class 1 felony and carries a potential penalty of life in prison without parole. The other charges are child abuse resulting in death, tampering with the deceased body, and tampering with physical evidence. The extradition process is where we are now. We will proceed until we get Letitia back here to face formal filing of charges, which will be sometime in the coming days. We do have a team of folks in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina right now, 2 prosecutors from our office, FBI agents, and members of the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. They're collecting evidence even in South Carolina as we speak, and that will continue until they exhaust that effort. I do want to add, too, that all defendants, Letitia included, are innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That will be the case. It's our burden to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt. We are confident that we'll be able to do that. But because we have that burden and we want to protect these proceedings, we won't be commenting again on the facts of this case. Thank you very much.
Really, I'm not in the correct mindset to be even standing up here, but if I had to say one thing...
This is a strong woman right here.
He said Gannon is no longer with us. I'd have to say Gannon is with us. After the stories of people from all over the world, he's not only my hero now, he's the world's hero. So I think the community, the positive support from a state that I've never visited other than 2 or 3 times, I'm astounded by the amount of love that's not come from me. It's came from my boy. And never thought I'd be standing here. It's a nightmare. I've had to put trust in the people I don't know. Today, I got the worst news and the best news. Obviously, we know what the worst news is, but the best news is that justice will be served. And I'll make sure that justice is served because my boy did not deserve any of this that has happened to him. So I urge media one more time just to hold off on questions until we know that this person, the stepmom that I even trusted, that she will pay 100% for this heinous thing she done. And I know that that's going to will be done. So I ask you guys, I beg and plead, if you've known or if you see this story, all of you have seen this story, please hold that very close to you. Because I want to live this earth knowing that justice was served for my boy. And I know that you've seen pictures. You've seen stories. You've seen my little man. He is truly my hero. And I'm gladly giving that to you guys too, that he can be your hero. I've heard stories of people that have not prayed in years, that have finally fell on their knees to pray. I know where my son's at, without a shadow of a doubt. So many families have been brought closer together because of this. I know my boy is special, and I've told my people and my family and friends that Gannon has a testimony, that Gannon has a story. He's special. And this is his story. So make that story magnificent, who my child is. And I'm putting my trust into you guys to do that. So thank you for allowing Gannon to be your hero and sharing him with us.
That took a lot of strength to get that out. That's her child,
So now I'm going to read
who she found out today was
a statement from Al,
not coming
Gannon's
home.
dad.
This is a statement from the father.
In a moment on September 29, 2008, my heart stopped as my baby boy entered this world way too early, weighing only 1 pound, 6 ounces. His infectious smile and constant laughter made an impact on every single person he's ever met. Although I miss the years when he was learning to walk, learning to talk, and he had welcomed his little sissy home from the hospital, I've been looking forward to his teenage years and the fun we had ahead of us as he became a young man. In a moment, on March 2nd, 2020, my heart stopped again with what we have heard up to this point. My little boy is not coming home. We will never play Nintendo again. No more Taco Tuesdays. No more smooth-looking haircuts. No more Big Bubba for my Lena, and no more G-Man for the world. The person who committed this heinous, horrible crime is one that I gave more to anyone else on this planet, and that is a burden that I will carry with me for a very long time. But the God I believe in is the owner and decider of justice and vengeance. Only he can repay. Although I am selfish and want my baby boy here, now and forever, how can I question God for bringing Gannon home to him? Because Gannon believed in God, and I will never stop believing. Thank you to the El Paso County Sheriff's Office and the FBI for the thousands of hours it took to uncover the truth as we know it. And may they stay strong and focused as they move forward. The mugshot for Letitia will be available on our social media platforms as soon as she is formally booked into the Horry County Sheriff's Office detention facility. I do have press packets available for the media, which will be available at the conclusion of the press conference. As Senior District Attorney Michael Allen said, all investigation questions should be directed to the District Attorney's Office. All search effort information will continue to come from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. Right now, I'd like to take the time to thank the media for your constant coverage and not letting this nation forget Gannon. Our work is not done. Let's continue to work together to find him. Thank you for coming.
And you heard that was the spokesperson there for the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, along with the El Paso County Sheriff, members of the FBI, and of course...
Gut-wrenching, guys. I can't, you know. Listen, these are all seasoned professionals. They're all emotional, right? Straight down from the FBI to the representative that was reading the father's statement. It is difficult at best to put it in words. You know, there's no good words to speak about this. You know, the stepmom, again, is an evil monster. This is the devil walking on the face of the earth right here. So I want to show you guys quickly what I took from the interview that this perpetrator, who now is in custody for murder, first degree. First degree murder, I believe, can carry the death penalty. I believe in Colorado they do have the death penalty. I'm thinking of the Chris Watts case, and he was spared the death penalty due to the fact of Shanann's parents not wanting him to have the death penalty. So this is, if convicted, I personally, I've said this a few different times, and I'm a good Catholic, but I wouldn't lose any sleep over pulling the trigger or, giving the lethal injection to some animal like this. I would do it, and I would do it to serve justice. Let me show you this video that I was talking about. I don't know if any of you have seen the interview that the stepmom conducted with the, okay, so they changed it. Life in prison, behind bars, miserable time, get, beaten and harassed, jailhouse justice, then that's what it's got to be. Anybody see the, anybody see the interview that she did with the news, and she took her daughter and put her daughter on? Anybody see that? I want to try to pull that up. And the reason I'm asking is if anybody saw that is she referred to Gannon in the past tense, like he was gone already, sort of the same way most criminals who have committed a crime of murder and are trying to cover their steps and cover their ground. But she made a big mistake in that video that she gave. She said to that news reporter, he was a good kid. He was a good kid. In other words, if she felt he was alive, she would have said he is a good kid. So this is something us investigators hone in on. And I'm sure the FBI and all the detectives on the case, I locked in on that immediately. As soon as I heard her say him in the past tense, she kept saying he was a kind of kid who used to love to play video games. So I'm going to play that for you guys so you can hear it. I had it queued up, but I can't find it. But she basically, here's a babysitter interview saying that she believes the stepmom is innocent. This is another, let me see if I can get this.
It's all mind-blowing.
Stephanie Kane just moved to Oklahoma mid-January, but last had
This is
contact
the
with
babysitter.
Letitia Stalk, Gannon's stepmother, shortly after his disappearance. For a year, she would babysit overnight for the Stalk family whenever they went away and became friends with who she calls
Bridget?
Tisha.
I think she's innocent. She's not the type of person that will do something like this.
What is she like?
So there it is.
I mean, like, she wouldn't.
That's the
she
interview I'm
didn't even
talking about right
spank
there.
Those kids. She wasn't the one to get on to them. She always let Albert do that.
Kane is trying to help clear her friend's name after this interview touched off serious
This is the
backlash
interview I was
online.
talking about.
She didn't sound like she was hiding anything, like that's just the way she is.
People from across the country following the case, some criticizing her social media posts.
I would be losing my mind too. I think she's overwhelmed.
Kane says Letitia may not have her phone and she thinks she deactivated her Facebook last night. You just think that there's no way that she would have done anything
Watch.
to him?
Listen to what she said.
I'm not saying, I don't know, I don't know, but I'm saying.
Okay. So, let me try to find it because I have it queued up here. Give me 2 more seconds. DutyRon. Sometimes I misplace the things that I save. I know I saved it at the top. Please. I think I got it. I think I got it.
Nope, never.
Blue ribbons still cling tightly to the trees, stuffed animals partially covered in snow in the Lorson Ranch community, a community that spent the last 5 weeks praying Gannon would come home.
Just trying to be hopeful that, maybe one day he'll just come walking down the street.
But as the days stretched into weeks, the blue lights neighbors put on their homes in solidarity started to dim. Then today, major developments as investigators allege that Gannon's stepmother killed him.
I feel like it's been the worst day of my life, but yet the best. And I say that because I truly believe that justice will be served for her.
Gannon used to play basketball at Canberra Peterson's home. He was the same age as her daughter.
He was always telling a joke. He was cute, he was spunky. He had so much life ahead of him.
Over the past month, crews spent countless hours conducting aerial and ground searches for Gannon. While his body has not yet been recovered, authorities pledge they will not stop searching. Neighbors who knew and loved Gannon say it's a revelation they just cannot understand.
It's just crazy knowing that they lived right down the road and how someone could do something like that. He's such a sweet little boy.
And Canberra Peterson, the neighbor you heard there, said that she brought a card and flowers over to Gannon's 5th grade classmates who now have to comprehend and try to understand this tragic death. We're live in El Paso County. Kristen Hobrick, Fox 31.
All right, give me 2 seconds. I have it, but I just got to cue it up. So give me 2 seconds, guys. I'm going to go to the intro screen for a minute. Just hang tough. I know I'll lose a couple of people, but hold on a second. Okay, guys, here we go. DutyRon on the case. I got it.
Gannon's stepmother.
You've been a part of the investigation since the very first time. You were the last person to see him. Is that right?
Correct.
What did you see when you last saw him?
Well, I'm not allowed to talk about anything with the case. I would more so be willing to talk about how the community needs to have faith and continue to work together and not make these false accusations, like the things that have been said that I've disappeared from the community. I haven't been there to help, but there's lots of reasons behind that.
Reasons like death threats, right?
Right. Death threats are one of them. My family's getting lots of death threats. We counted over 20-some death threats already. 2, my husband's ex-wife is living in our home, and of course I'm not coming home to do these things and to help with the family when I was kind of like told I couldn't. And then many other things that happened with the El Paso County Police Department, and in doing the investigation I was told I wasn't complying. And could I elaborate on that?
Please do.
Yes. So I asked for an attorney during the interview.
Please hold any hateful
I was denied
comments.
that by them.
Please hold. I don't want to delete anybody.
Because they were blocking the door, and
Just
I was
keep
told
it-
I couldn't
keep it
leave.
respectful.
And if I would have touched them, they would have probably, said I still wasn't complying, or said I was, trying to run away or something. But during the interview, I asked several times, could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney? Could I stop the interview? Could I get an attorney?
Hiding
I was
the camera
denied.
angle
I was
is
told I couldn't
purpose.
get
She
nothing to
didn't want
drink.
her
I couldn't go
face
to the bathroom.
shown.
I mean, it was continuously that my
She
constitutional rights were
requested that
violated.
camera angle.
And that's why you say that they said then you weren't cooperating with the investigation.
That's why they said I wasn't cooperating at that time, correct.
And why did you ask for an attorney at the time?
Well, I asked for an attorney at the time because there was one individual, there was two really good detectives, and so I'm not, going to talk bad about
She asked for a detective
but the
because she knew
tactics they started
that
to
they were
get when I would
closing in
answer
on her.
questions, they try to, they're detectives. They're supposed to twist. The one main goal is to find Gannon. But during that time, some of those things made me feel uncomfortable the way they were saying things. So I immediately stopped and felt like an attorney would help me with some of the vocabulary and things like that I needed help with and understanding some of the things that they were asking.
I'm going to shift gears to what has become a huge online presence of people obviously trying to do the right thing.
Here she goes.
Help find
Here it
Gannon.
goes.
But at the same time, sometimes it just feels like rumor mongering. Have you seen any of those comments yourself?
We have, and see, that's one of the main things we haven't been around in the public eye because I didn't want to expose my family to it if all these things were going on. There was comments about Gannon getting pushed off the hike, and there was comments about this, and that's just not true. I took care of Gannon for the last 2 years in our home because his mother didn't want to do it, and I would never, ever hurt this child. And I know there's some questions out there about, okay, so tell me what happens. That's up to the investigations when they end up letting you guys know, but I've cooperated with them, even to the point that we were held with a gun, and my daughter, a 17-year-old who serves our country in the United States Air Force, who has never committed a crime or done anything wrong in her life, was put in handcuffs over the keys that was in her purse so they could take her car.
And they weren't in there?
They weren't even in her car, in her purse. And they were in my pocket.
You originally didn't even know it was the
there you go, Paisley.
I didn't know it was a law enforcement officer because when he came out, I guess he was putting his jacket on, and it wasn't necessarily his fault. He was adjusting and happened to catch me. But I saw the gun, and I panicked originally and kind of thought, oh gosh, I got who's this guy? And then once I realized it was the sheriff's office, I was totally okay, but they still had a gun and told me they were going to shoot me. But I was really concerned about my daughter, asking why she was being detained in handcuffs and things like that, when that shouldn't.
First of all, no detective or no cop is going to come over to her to question her and say that he's going to shoot. Did you hear what she said? He said he was going to shoot me. Oh, no. What did I do? Shit. All right, I got it back.
For shopping because we couldn't have any clothes because all of our clothes were here.
Where was I up to?
I was really concerned about my daughter, asking why she was being in her purse. And they were in my daughter, a 17.
How far into that was I? Damn it.
But at the same time, sometimes it just feels like rumor mongering. Have you
All right,
seen
we'll just let
any
it
of those
go.
comments yourself?
We have, and see, that's one of the main things we haven't been around in the public eye because I didn't want to expose my family to it if all these things were going on. There was comments about Gannon getting pushed off the hike, and there was comments about this, and that's just not true. I took care of Gannon for the last 2 years in our home because his mother didn't want to do it, and I would never, ever hurt this child. And I know there's some questions out there about, okay, so tell me what happens. That's up to the investigations when they end up letting you guys know, but I've cooperated with them, even to the point that we were held with a gun, and my daughter, a 17-year-old who serves our country in the United States Air Force, who has never committed a crime or done anything wrong in her life, was put in handcuffs over the keys that was in her purse so they could take her car.
She was put in handcuffs for the
They weren't even in her car. In her purse.
If she was put in
they
handcuffs,
were in my pocket.
It was for the safety of everybody doing the investigation. That's it.
I didn't know it was a law enforcement officer because when he came out, I guess he was putting his jacket on, and it wasn't necessarily his fault. He was adjusting and happened to catch me. But I saw the gun, and I panicked originally and kind of thought, oh gosh, I got who's this guy? And then once I realized it was the sheriff's office, I was totally okay, but they still had a gun and told me they were going to shoot me. But I was really concerned about my daughter, asking why she was being detained in handcuffs and things like that, when that shouldn't even happen for a child. That shouldn't happen for someone who was standing inside of a store shopping because we couldn't have any clothes because all of our clothes were here. If we came here and got clothes, we would be harassed. So she went to purchase some underwear and things like that and was put in the handcuffs in the store, and then brought out with men with guns. And that's just not okay. They could have approached me and said, hi, I'm with El Paso County, can I please get this, instead of the way that it happened.
So that's how they're supposed to approach someone who's suspected of murder in the disappearance of an 11-year-old. Okay, lady.
Okay, yeah, sounds like we're good. Every once in a while my mic will give out, and I want to make sure that's not going to happen here.
All right, so he's making adjustments. He wants to zoom in on her face. You see what he's doing here? He's trying to get...
I should try and clarify here. Not necessarily crime rates, but the way that people are reacting online to rumors about...
Listen,
you.
Oh, yes.
This
wow.
is where she really
The
does it.
rumors have gotten so bad. I pretty much have been told at least 10 different ways that these people have these conspiracy
Here's where
theories.
she
I guess they
kill-
watch a
here's
lot
she-
of law
here's where
shows, and maybe
she
they have all these
hangs
theories
herself.
on how Gannon is dead. And that's what they're saying. So I'm like, why are you saying Gannon is dead? He is not dead. We are going to find Gannon. And that's the main goal that we all have, my family has. Just because you haven't seen us, we have that same goal. And we've been out searching. My aunt has been out searching. My family has been out searching. We all have been doing that together so that we could protect each other.
How does it feel when not only you have a lost child who you are in care of?
Okay, first she said that they couldn't go out and search because she was in fear for her life, and she couldn't do anything, and she couldn't show up to all the searches because she was getting death threats. And now, that was in the beginning, and now she's saying that her and her family are searching together. Anybody pick up on that?
But then people blaming you for that child not being there.
You know, I'm just ready for Gannon to come home. Most importantly, for him to see his family. But second, I am going to be so ecstatic when I'm able to say to people that I hope they have a really sincere apology for all these theories that have came out online, for all the things they said that I have done or people have done. And I just want everyone to know that we're going to find Gannon. And I love him so much. I've helped taking care of him for so long.
Can you talk to me a little bit about him? I don't know him.
Gannon is so kind, and he loves to play video games. That's one of his favorite things. He loves Sonic and Mario, and you know, he's always helpful, and he was always so helpful with the dogs around the house, and we have 2 little cute dogs, and he was always like a person I could say, Gannon, can you go do this? And he would do it right away. You know, sometimes with kids we have to remind them and things like that, and that's okay, but he was so sweet and able to help anyone. He could notice when you're sick,
so sweet.
and say, are you okay? And such a kind heart.
I know you just said that you can't say anything about the investigation, so you can just say so again if you can't answer this, but is there anything we can hear about the hike? Was there a hike? That just seems like rumors right now.
You know what? Could we bring my daughter up here? Because she can go and say that, you know, she came home from work after the hike, and she can verify that Gannon was at our home.
Can I bring my daughter?
If she doesn't want to, that's okay, but you're allowed to ask her.
This guy is a cool, smooth operator.
Yes.
Wow.
I need Harley. Because they want you to verify with Gannon at home after the hike.
Now she's trying to drag her
you didn't go to the hike,
daughter
but you
in
came home from work.
to try to bail her out. And she was referring to Gannon in the past tense. He was.
No,
see,
just
these are
answer the
little
question.
things
Yes,
that
you came home from
you
work,
you
and
pick up on.
verify Gannon was at home. Yeah.
And now she's coaching her daughter into verifying.
I told her she didn't have to be too in depth because she is still, you know, a child. But I want to make sure that someone knows that there's another person to verify that Gannon.
Sure.
Does she need to hold this?
No.
Yes, so I came home later that evening. I was at work.
This is
and
pathetic.
I can verify that he was there that night.
So there was a hike that you guys went on, but then
For the same reason she killed Gannon. She's ruthless. She doesn't care. That's her own daughter.
I guess when
And then we ate Burger King afterwards, so, you know.
there you go.
Yeah.
And then it just was, I'm gonna go to play at a friend's house. And then it was just.
I'm gonna dub this guy the
Unfortunately, I'm not able
news
to
reporter
comment on that
detective.
anymore, and for that
He
reason
should be
is
a
because some
detective.
things have been turned and twisted, and you know, that was one of those stories you were talking about where people say things. We had to hear things like who would let their child go out at dark and things like that, and that's just why I don't want to answer that. If I had to give, I'm not gonna say that part.
That's okay.
Never mind.
That's right.
I could take that out.
I understand that it gets tricky with legal stuff. Do you feel like I asked you what I need to? Do you feel like this is going to help kind of turn the tide of what feels like a witch hunt, in my opinion?
I hope. Am I on camera now?
You are
okay,
still.
Okay. I think that a lot of people can see that I'm not missing and see that I am being cooperative.
Did you see this? Hold on, I'm gonna back that up. Hold on, she doesn't realize. She thinks that she's off camera, that they're just chit-chatting.
Do you feel like I asked you what I need to? Do you feel like this?
You see how he?
Okay.
Never mind.
You see how he relaxed her? Look, watch this.
Yeah.
Here, look.
Do you feel like I asked you what I need to? Do you feel like this is going to help kind of turn the tide of what feels like a witch hunt, in my opinion?
I hope, am I on camera now?
You are.
Okay, okay. I think that a lot of people can see that I'm not missing and see that I am being cooperative. But to me, it's okay that they.
Did you see how she turned that on, the acting show? As soon as when she said, "Are we still on?" She thought they were done. And then when he said, "We're still on," did you see how it was action time? Did anybody catch on to that as well? She immediately turned that light switch on. I'm going to go back again. So you could see how she felt like, okay, we're done here. But they weren't. And that was because of what that reporter did. He actually used an interview and interrogation technique, not even knowing he did that. But he used the technique, and it worked.
Going to help kind of turn the tide of
anymore and for the things like that. And that's
okay.
Never mind.
Right.
I could take that out. If I had to give, I'm not going to say that part.
That's okay.
Never mind.
Right.
I could take that out.
She was going to say if I had to give my opinion.
Yeah.
Do you feel like I asked you what I need to? Do you feel like this is going to help kind of turn the tide of what feels like a witch hunt, in my opinion?
I hope. Am I on camera now?
You are
okay.
still.
Okay.
She was going to say, I hope it does.
I think that a lot of people can see that I'm not missing and see
Now
that
she's
I
acting.
am being cooperative. But to me, it's okay that they think those things because the way someone thinks about me, I don't have a problem with that. My main thing is I would never want someone to think that I would hurt Gannon or any of the children in our home because that's just not the case. I've spent my whole entire life working so hard in education. There was even things online that was talking about my education license and I shouldn't even be a teacher. And they just didn't know that. Like we moved on a military move and I didn't finish out my contract, so I gave up my license in that state. It had nothing to do with any criminal activity, or any of those things. And it just got blown out of proportion on my professional status,
Sorry, D.
Do you feel like these are just internet detectives who think they know what they're doing?
It definitely is. And here's the thing that kind of saddens me. It's like if you're going to talk about someone like that and have a witch hunt out for them, why would you even care about doing those things? Because this is a child.
I don't know, guys. It almost seems like she's flirting with this reporter. Am I off base on this? It's almost like she's buttering him up and trying to be sassy with him. And he's doing the exact same thing to her. Only what he did to her really gave a lot of good information because she was comfortable. And she basically contradicted herself. From the beginning, she contradicted herself from the beginning, in the middle, and now here at the end. So it's perfect the way he set her up. He set her up perfectly. So let's let this continue. We're almost done.
You're telling me that you're just as mean, you're just as hateful to talk about someone else. I didn't finish out my contract, so I gave up my license in that state. It had nothing to do with any criminal activity, or any of those things. And it just got blown out of proportion on my professional status, and
Do you feel like these are just internet detectives who think they know what they're doing?
it definitely is. And here's the thing that kind of saddens me. It's like if you're going to talk about someone like that and have a witch hunt out for them, why would you even care about doing those things? Because this is a child. You're telling me that you're just as mean, you're just as hateful to talk about someone else like that. That's how I feel. We just should not. We should all come together and wait until the end and see what happens. Because again,
I'm going to get to that because I'm going to close here in a minute.
Any message for Gannon?
The message for Gannon I have is, Gannon, when you get here, you'll be able to truly tell what happened. And then I really hope I get a sincere apology from everyone who has made all those things, especially from
how disgusting.
Husband.
We just wanted to add a message to Gannon from
now here's the cry.
Is that we love you and miss you, and we hope that you come home soon. And Gannon, I can't wait till you can come home and let everyone know.
You ever notice in movies how actors can just cry and really make it look good? Well, here is a shitty actress, complete with matted hair in the back. I don't know if it's just me, but her hair looks like something you'd see in like a twisted tree somewhere in the tropics. But she basically is acting. Well, all kidding aside, she's acting. Here comes the crying. So this is a classic example of a murderer who is, just putting a show on. And it's a shitty show. It's a shitty show. Those are extensions? Okay. I don't know about that stuff because I got no hair. So thank you, Bridget.
That you're okay. We love you.
That's how I feel. Like we should all come together and wait until the end and see what happens, because Gannon's going to come home.
Nappy.
Any message for Gannon?
The message for Gannon I have is, Gannon, when you get here, you'll be able to truly tell what happened. And then I really hope I get a sincere apology from everyone who has made all those things, especially from my husband.
I just
Especially.
wanted to add a message to Gannon from my family, is that we love you and miss you, and we hope that you come home soon. And Gannon, I can't wait till you can come home and let everyone know that you're okay. We love you.
Jeez. All right, guys. So that was from January 31st, and her guilt showed tremendously there. As a seasoned detective, I have interviewed hundreds, perhaps thousands of people, somewhere in between 500 and 1,000, definitely in my time. And I got to tell you, that was a ground ball. The FBI and all the lead investigators looked at that and said, we got to look at her stronger. Now, I don't know why she wound up in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I'm certain that she got away from the crime scene. I don't know. I think I heard that she lives or lived in that area, but I don't know. And it really doesn't matter. Like, really, people, it doesn't matter where she was collared, where she was arrested, where she was collared. It doesn't mean anything. It just shows that she was trying to flee from the heat of the investigation. So she might have felt that, her gig was up and it was time for her to book and get out of there. But the long arm of the law has a way of getting these bad guys and girls. And I got to tell you, I tip my cap to the local, state, and federal authorities who were involved in this investigation and still continue to be involved in this investigation. Now, you have to be patient with them because they're not going to just spew out a location where, let's just say, for example, if she confessed to killing him and dumping him in a river, and I'm not saying that that's what happened, or in a lake or in a pond, but if she confessed and said, listen, this is where I disposed of his body, they're not going to just plaster that out in a news conference so a whole bunch of news people and a whole bunch of people could come down and contaminate a crime scene. So they're keeping this under cuffs for a very good reason, so they can dot their I's and cross their T's and put the slam dunk on this piece of garbage and have her spend the rest of her days, behind bars where she belongs. So they want to dot their I's and cross their T's. They don't want to have any mix up. They don't want to have anybody interfering with a crime scene. You know how we all want to see stuff. We all want to go and look at things. So if a location is put out and say it takes them a week or 2 weeks or 2 days or 18 hours to successfully recover his body, they don't want to have people all around. So that's the reason why they're holding back on information. And I'm telling you this from a law enforcement standpoint. You know, we would not put out every bit of our murder investigation to the news. We would give them what we felt we could give them without jeopardizing the case going forward. You have to look at the big picture here. You need not only arrest, you need a successful prosecution. So as investigators, detectives, they don't want to go out and contaminate a crime scene and give the public enough information where they're going to come and they're going to they're going to make the work more difficult. So I believe that I believe she gave a full confession for them to collar her for murder first degree and all the other charges that went with it, unlawful disposing of a body. If you're charging unlawful disposing of a body, that means she told them that she killed him, and then she also told them that she disposed of his body. Now, that could be anything from just her burying him or putting him somewhere or hiding him to something really, really awful, a burning, a dismembering. We don't know. So this is everything that will unfold going forward. This is what will come out once everything is solidified and the FBI and all the lead investigators have everything. So as much as we want to know, and our human nature is we want to know what happened, it's not the right time. The time right now is to pray for the family. The time right now is to pray for that poor kid's soul and the mother and the father. And you see, I think that was the grandmother that was there, and all of the uncles and aunts and cousins and relatives. That's what we should be thinking about, not answering our selfish questions. These are selfish questions that we're asking. Why is this happen? Why did that happen? That'll all come out in due time. But right now, as good human beings, what we should be doing is praying for that family that's suffering. Look, we lose family members to old age, to health, to disease. We lose our dogs, our cats, our pets, and we get so upset and we mourn them. Could you imagine your own flesh and blood being murdered by a stepmom, a babysitter, a father? You know, I'm talking about Thomas Valva. I'm talking about all the crime and all the evil that goes on out there. We as human beings get selfish because we want to hear the details. We want the gory details. We want to know what happened. But let's let these law enforcement professionals take the lead and successfully prosecute this woman and have her spend the rest of her days behind bars. And let's let jailhouse justice take its course. She won't have a good time in prison. I'll tell you that right now. Guys, I'm going to sign off. I'm on here already 58 minutes. So from my house to yours, I wish you guys all a good evening. I want to say a prayer silently for Gannon and his family. So I'm going to bow my head. If you guys can, please put some prayer emojis and some blue hearts in the chat. And I'm going to take about 30 to 60 seconds to say a quick prayer for the family. And I encourage you guys all to pray for his mom and dad. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. I'm not going to have any updates unless there's anything further that comes out through the media. Again, hug your loved ones, cherish the ones that you love, keep your eyes open. If you see something, say something. From my house to yours, good night from New York City, and God bless.